G'day all, Ben here, East West. This is going to be part 2 of our building a chart platform series. So let's just jump into the code. So everything here is exactly the same. All I've done is said part 2 up here, but you can just use exactly the same book. So if you remember the last time, we had created this little window and we had this button called fetch chart, which actually doesn't do anything at the moment. So what I will do now is I'll just explain to you what we're going to do next. So you don't have to code this in, this is an explanation only. So just generally with this platform for lack of a better word, for this application we're building, I'm just going to source all the data from Y-Finance. You can source it from wherever you like, but just Y-Finance is, I tend to find the easiest. And then we're going to use MPL Finance charts because they're just a little bit more flexible than just the straight out matplot charts that are created. Generally, I like to use Plotly because the charts are a bit more interactable. But there's a little bit of a trick with Plotly and doing this, but we'll look at that further down the track. So for now, we're just going to need to import a couple of new libraries. So very simply, just Y-Finance is YF, MPL Finance is MPF, and matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. They're pretty standard sort of things. So we just run that cell again, and now that's been imported. So this is what we actually want to do. Remember, we want to add the functionality to that button. So we need to write a function to tell that button what to do once it's pressed. So this is what the function is effectively going to do. We're just going to download some data into a data frame. So I'm just going to use the spider here. And then we just need to bring in this line of code, which is just basically, I've got some videos on this previously on just how to create matplotlib file MPF plots. So we're just going to import the data and create a chart, right? So when we run that comes up, that has just brought in the data and created this chart. Okay, so all we're really doing, so this would be the first part of the function. Then all we're effectively going to do is this. We're effectively going to just copy that image, right? And now when we run, so we've copied that image, and now effectively all we're going to do is paste it into our window. That's it. That's what the function is going to do. So when we hit fetch chart, it'll download, it'll create this, it'll copy this as a picture, and it'll paste it back into that window. So you don't need this. That was just an example. So I'll just cut that. We'll get rid of that. But we are going to need to bring in a couple of new libraries just to achieve this. So the first library we're going to import is IO, which is just a library that deals with I is for input, O is for output. So without going into it, effectively what this library is going to do is it's going to handle the copy and saving of the file. And so now we just need to import from PIL, which is Python image library. We import image, which is just going to allow us to handle what the IO has saved, like allow us to handle the image. And image TK, capital T, little lowercase k, is what's going to take that image and turn it into something that we can stick into our application window. So I don't think you need to know too much about this. Just follow the magic and it'll do its thing. But you know, the example that I just gave you, that's effectively what we're going to do. Okay. So now we just need to write the function. Now what I'll do is, because I think I said before, this is going to get quite big. So I'm just going to split the code up a little bit here with some headings. So if you want to do a heading, you just come down here and you just type whatever into here. You come down here and make it a heading rather than a code block, just for a bit of ease. So this is the first function we're going to do. So we're going to call this, let's say, function for, let's just say function for fetch and displaying charts, like that. And we can just make that a markdown. I've misspelt that, of course. So let's start off writing this function. Excuse me. There. Let's start off by writing this function. So we're going to define the function. We'll just call it fetch and display chart, and it's going to take a symbol as its argument. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to get the data from Yahoo Finance. And you know, I've just made life, just to make life easy, I've just taken it back to the start of this year. You can make it any date you want, but it's probably just easier just to deal with a little less data than you need. So the next thing we got to do is, as we saw in that example, once we've got that downloaded, then we just need to create the chart. So we do that the same way. we've just the only little change I've just made here is just an F string for the symbol. It's just a formatting thing. It's no big deal. And the style, we'll just keep it as Yahoo, just to keep it standard for the moment. Okay, so next we just need to, this is where this IO comes in. So remember what we talked about, we just basically need to save a copy of that picture. Now, what this does, just to keep it brief, is rather than save this to the hard drive, it actually saves it to the RAM. So it's just a better and more efficient way of using memory. I don't think you really need to worry too much about it, but effectively it just turns it into a bunch of bytes, saves it to the RAM, and it formats it into a PNG. This buff.seek, all that means is it goes back to the start of the bytes and just will start reading what we saved from the very beginning. So there's no big deal here. Remember that all that effectively is doing is just hitting copy and saving a copy of that plot that we've just made to the RAM. That's all you really need to know about it. And then next, we're just going to use the second library that we've got here, because we need to take the image that we've saved and turn it into something that tkinter can use. So all we do is we give that image a name. So we open up, we're using image now. Okay, so we're using this, which is part of that Python image library. So we're just going to open up an image called buff, which is what we've saved up here, and then we're going to make a photo, tk photo image. So all we're doing is we're taking that photo that we've saved it here to the RAM. Now we're getting it out of the RAM and we're turning it into something that we can insert into tkinter. That's it. So maybe a little bit confusing, but just keep it simple. If you just stick with that code, it should work out for you. Okay, so the next step here, what we're effectively doing is we're just basically giving tkinter a specific label for the image that we've just saved. Okay, so that's all that's happening. Okay, so we're just going, okay, look, we've saved this and we've got it into this format, but this image that we're after, we're going to call it chart. We're going to call it chart. So it's just labeling the image we saved so we can reference it, because we're going to have to come down here and do some referencing of what's been downloaded. So we keep a reference here to avoid garbage collection, which basically just means you don't have a whole bunch of files building up every time you download a new chart. So like I said, I don't think there's too much you've got to worry about here. And then the last thing we will do is we'll just close that chart that we've created, because we don't need it anymore, because we've sorry about that. We've downloaded it, we've saved it, we've turned it into something that tkinter can use, and we've told tkinter where to find it. That's effectively all we've done, and that is all we really need to do for this function as it sits. So let's just run that. Okay, now the function's in. So now we've just got to make one or two little changes down here in our main window. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just make the size a little bit bigger, because it kind of won't fit in the chart. So we're going to do away with this eventually, but let's for the time being, we'll just make this 1000 by 1000. Now the next thing we need to do just down here is where we created the fetch chart button, but we need to give that now a command. So what that means is that the command is like, this is what you need to do once that button gets pressed. So we're going to just give it a lambda function, and the function is going to be to run the function that we've just made up here. So this is the function, right? And we need to give it a symbol. So let's just copy this. Okay, so what we actually do is we would just do that. Okay, but we can't. It doesn't know what the symbol is, so we just have to do something a little bit tricky here. So we're going to say symbol entry, right? Dot get, like that. Okay, so symbol entry. So remember, the symbol entry is here. So whatever we're saying, whatever the symbol is that's been typed into that entry window, we'll use that as the symbol. So that's the symbol we're going to pass. So when we press the button, come up here and do all this stuff. Okay, so that's fine, but we also need to tell the program to display the chart. Okay, so that is the next step. So we need to create the label to display the image. Okay, so chart label equals ttk.label, and that's going to be once again in our root window. And then we're going to say chart label.pack okay, is expand to true. So all that really means is it's going to take the chart and it's going to apply it to whatever available space there is within the window that we've created. That's all it really means. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need to do for this part of it. So just make sure that this actually is probably better even just to come up here and kernel and restart and run everything. So just clear it out and run it again, making sure that all your libraries are there. And if we do that, okay, here's the new window. So this is the big, it's probably even too big for this screen that I've got here, but this is the big 10 by 10 that we were looking at. So now we can just put in, let's put in SPY. Okay, and now when we hit fetch chart, that's going to run that function and it's going to drop the chart into the viewer. Okay, so that is the first step. So now we've got, and what we can do now, of course, is if you wanted something different, let's say the QQQ, you could do that. If you wanted Apple, you could do, oh, pardon me, I think that's not quite right. That's because I misspelt it, of course. It's double APL, terrible speller. So whatever it is that you wanted to put in there, as long as there's a code for it on Yahoo Finance, you can import it. So look, I'll leave it here for this video. That was part 2, and then part 3 we'll start to get a bit further into this chart and we'll start formatting. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.